The road to WrestleMania is in full effect, as on this episode of Monday Night Raw, we saw Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman have an in-ring segment together. Brock Lesnar showed up to issue a challenge to Bobby Lashley. Edge and Beth Phoenix also showed up to issue a challenge to the Judgment Day, and we saw Becky Lynch vs Bayley in a steel cage match to main event the show. Before we get into the video, allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Stories. I appreciate you for tuning into the video. I hope you enjoy your time here, and without further ado, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. To open up the show, Edge and Beth Phoenix came down to the ring. Edge basically said that the Judgment Day was his fault and that he started it to elevate younger talent, and apparently it worked just too well. He put over everybody except Dominic, and then he started to talk about Extreme Rules. And if you guys don't know what happened at Extreme Rules, basically Finn Balor beat Edge in an I Quit match, and Beth Phoenix received a concerto shot by Rhea Ripley. So after all of that, Edge and Beth Phoenix, they want their revenge. Beth Phoenix is about to issue a challenge to Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, but the Judgment Day interrupt before they can get another word out. So everybody from the Judgment Day comes out except for Rhea Ripley, who was on a WrestleMania promotional tour. Finn Balor says that he notices the trend. Every time Edge returns, the Judgment Day just beats him down, and he should just quit. To make a long story short, they all exchange words, and then Finn Balor accepted the match on behalf of himself and Rhea Ripley. So we'll be getting Beth Phoenix and Edge versus Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor at the Elimination Chamber. Before this segment ended, the Judgment Day circled the ring before eventually getting in, which led to a brawl breaking out. They were pretty much beating down Edge while Beth Phoenix was standing there watching Dominic. Angelo Dawkins, he came out to help Edge because he has a match against Damian Priest up next, which we'll talk about. And then Edge hit Finn Balor with a spear. To close this out, Montez Ford, he threw Dominic Mysterio in the ring, and Beth Phoenix gave him a glam slam. So that was just a fun little way to open up the show, set up the match for Elimination Chamber. In our first match, we got Angelo Dawkins versus Damian Priest, and this was a qualifying match for the United States Championship Elimination Chamber. This was a pretty basic TV match. All WWE matches are pretty much the same in terms of structure, so there's not really too much to dive into. Angelo Dawkins, he hit a nice swanton bomb off the top rope and he got a 2 count. But that wasn't enough because Damian Priest hit him with a South of Heaven and he picked up the victory. So Damian Priest qualifies for the United States Championship Elimination Chamber match. So next up we got Baron Corbin with JBL at ringside versus Dexter Lumis with Johnny Gargano at ringside. I'll save you guys the trouble and just let you know that Dexter Lumis won this match. This pretty much made JBL upset because later in the show, we got a backstage segment where JBL and Baron Corbin were talking to each other. JBL pretty much said that Baron Corbin was a loser and that you can't polish a turd. So JBL went from calling Baron Corbin the modern day wrestling god to not want anything to do with him. I'm not really sure what they're doing with Baron Corbin here. He got repackaged, put with JBL, who's basically like a heat magnet, and then they had him lose to Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis in back-to-back weeks. He's basically a jobber at this point. I mean, there's no real reason to care about him, so at one point in his career, he did have the potential to be something big, but we're past that point right now. Baron Corbin, he's pretty much just a jobber. So moving on to Brock Lesnar, he came down to the ring. And by the way, it's kind of weird to see Brock Lesnar shaking everybody's hand at ringside, just because we're so used to seeing him be a heel. But in all honesty, I enjoy Brock Lesnar as a babyface. So he grabbed the microphone. He talked about how he couldn't stop thinking about Bobby Lashley after he eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. Every time Brock Lesnar did something, whether it was hunting, ice fishing, eating a nice steak, or going to bed with his wife, he couldn't stop thinking about Bobby Lashley. So he pulled out a contract for a match against Bobby Lashley at the Elimination Chamber. And speak of the devil, out came Lashley. Bobby Lashley basically relived their history, talking about the first time they met, Bobby Lashley won. The second time they met, Brock Lesnar won, but Bobby Lashley beat him down. And then the third time they met was at the Royal Rumble where Bobby Lashley eliminated him. So he takes the contract from Brock Lesnar. He says he's going to have his agent, manager, and lawyer look over it, and he'll get back to him. And as Bobby Lashley is about to leave the ring, Brock Lesnar picked him up, hit him with an F5, and that got a huge reaction from the crowd. So they started chanting one more time, and then Brock Lesnar picked him up again and hit him with another F5. This was a pretty entertaining segment. I can't see why they would want to do this match at Elimination Chamber when they could just wait one more month and do it at WrestleMania. So if I had to guess, I would say that they're going to pivot and delay this match, have it take place at WrestleMania, and it's going to have a bigger feeling towards it. So moving on, we got a Women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match. The participants were Carmella, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim, and Piper Niven. This was a pretty decent match with all women getting some shine in. In the end, Carmella picked up the victory after Piper Niven hit a cannonball on LeRae, and then she super kicked Niven, and then pinned Candice LeRae. So Carmella, she's the final participant to qualify for this match. Next up, we got Alpha Academy versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin with MVP in their corner. This was a pretty enjoyable matchup. Cedric Alexander, he hit Gable with a lumbar check, and he picked up the victory for him and Shelton Benjamin. I'm not gonna lie, Alpha Academy is a pretty terrible gimmick, with Chad Gable coming down to the ring and shooting everybody. And it also looks like the Hurt Business is gonna be making a return. So we don't know what the situation is with Bobby Lashley and MVP. But we got 3/4 of the members back, so this is interesting to me. Next up, we got Chelsea Green versus Asuka in probably the most unimportant match of unimportant matches. This was pretty much a quick one. Asuka, she won by submission. So Chelsea Green, she just made her return to WWE, and she's already pretty much a jobber. After this match, Bianca Belair, she made her appearance because all the women that were going to be in the number one contender Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship were at ringside. She wished everybody a good luck, and that was basically that. Alright, so next up, let's talk about Cody Rhodes. He came down to the ring for a promo. He said that as the Royal Rumble winner, his path to WrestleMania was pretty straight. But there was a little twist because the champion, Roman Reigns, will be putting his titles on the line against Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber. He said that he had respect for Sami Zayn, and there's a possibility that he could be facing him at WrestleMania instead of Roman Reigns. And then Paul Heyman interrupted him, which got a pop from the crowd. Heyman wanted to congratulate him on behalf of him and the Tribal Chief for winning the Royal Rumble match. Cody told the story of him and his family being broke back in 2000, but Dusty got a call from Paul Heyman to come into ECW, and that Cody was very thankful for Paul Heyman for making that happen. Heyman said that this wasn't about Dusty or himself. This was about Cody and leaving WWE, coming back to WWE, winning the Royal Rumble, and now being in the main event of WrestleMania. But the problem with that is that Cody Rhodes wants to take from the Tribal Chief the biggest box office attraction, Roman Reigns. Heyman's closing line was that in his last conversation with Dusty Rhodes, Dusty personally told him that Cody was his favorite son, but Roman Reigns was the son that he always wanted. And that completely made Cody mad because he got up in Paul Heyman's face. He grabbed his hand. He said that he was just trying to win a wrestling championship, but since everybody wants to make it personal, the person that's going to suffer the most is Paul Heyman's boy, Roman Reigns, because at WrestleMania, he's going to be taking the championships from him. This was a very entertaining segment. It was a good way to start the build between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania. I just hope they don't make this match too much about Dusty Rhodes. I feel like Cody Rhodes should still have his own storyline that revolves around him more so than Dusty. So we'll have to see how they pivot that, but so far, I'm liking it. And then in our final qualifying match for the United States Championship Elimination Chamber, we got Montez Ford versus Elias. Montez Ford, he had a nice dive over the post, followed by a big splash off the top rope to qualify for the match. Austin Theory, who was on commentary for the match, he got up, and then Seth Rollins attacked him at ringside, basically gave him a curb stomp on the floor, and that was that. And then finally, we got our main event, which was Bayley versus Becky Lynch in a steel cage match. If I'm being honest, this match was kind of mid. It was just a basic wrestling match. It wasn't nothing really too exciting about it. So towards the end, Damage Control, they managed to get involved. Io Scott, she climbed to the top of the cage and knocked Becky Lynch off of it. Dakota Kai handed Bayley a crutch through one of the openings of the cage. So then we got Lita returning. Her music hit and the crowd popped. She came down to the ring to even the odds. She attacked Damage Control, and Bayley tried to escape through the door, but Lita slammed the door into her, and that led to Becky Lynch hitting a manhandle slam on Bayley, and she won the match. Lita returning got a cool pop from the crowd, but that's basically all this was. Wasn't nothing really too special, which actually sucks to say because I was looking forward to this match, but it is what it is. I wonder if they're going to continue this feud with Becky Lynch versus Bayley. I don't know, because I know they're capable of giving us some really good matches, but it just felt like we haven't seen any so far. Anyways, guys, that was my review for Monday Night Raw. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button for me. If you want to hear more from your boy, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about Monday Night Raw, and I'm out.